Let's talk a bit about another kind of signal in a synthesizer, a control voltage. So we talked a bit about audio, and you can hear the audio there. The only real difference between a control voltage and an audio voltage or an audio signal is how they're used. That's important to remember, at least I think so, because it's not so much the type of signal, the frequency of the signal, any of that kind of stuff. It's really where you put the signal. And in a modular, of course, you can move stuff around all over the place. It's not quite as set in stone as it is with sort of a synthesizer like a Mini Moog or an ARP Odyssey or something along those lines. So there you can hear our signal. If we wanted to do something with that signal, say add a little movement to it, we could go to the frequency knob on the filter and just kind of turn it manually. You can hear what that does. We can kick up our resonance a bit and do our classic resonance sort of sweep thing with the frequency. But it would be kind of nice to be able to do that automatically. So what we're going to do for that is I'm going to use something that's acting as a low frequency oscillator as opposed to an audio oscillator. So what you're hearing is the audio oscillator. I'm going to use a sine wave from this little random module, and I'm going to use that to control the filter cutoff frequency. So in this case, we'll use the CV input for the frequency on the filter, and it has a level control, sometimes called an attenuator. Let's kick that up a little bit and hear what happens. So if we look at the oscilloscope, I actually have both signals going into the scope. The audio one is on the bottom here. It's a little harder to see because in order to see that low frequency signal, and we can kick that up a little so you can see what happens. But that, again, keep in mind that is a very slow, very low frequency signal. So if you actually wanted to see, you can't really see both. At least not on my scope. I don't have a fancy enough scope. So if you wanted to actually see what the audio looked like still, it's really hard to see what the low frequency one is doing. You just kind of see it going up and down. We can also, since it's a control voltage, we can use it to control other things. So if we don't want to control the filter frequency, we could say control the oscillator pitch. So I'm going to go into the oscillator pitch, and you can see it going nuts. And you can hear it going nuts in time with this thing. We can kick that up a little bit. So let's, and you can see it, so you see the signal. We're going to make that so we can see it a little more. There's nothing that says that we can't take, say, an audio oscillator and make it a control voltage, or anything like that. You can certainly do that. So that's the second kind of signal in a synthesizer, a control voltage signal. And keep in mind, like I said, it's not the signal itself, it's the destination of the signal that makes it a control voltage. Let's get that off of there. That could be a little irritating after a while.